Everyone has wondered what would happen if Vecna fought Pennywise. Two iconic villains with psychic power, mind tricks, and a taste for fear. On the surface, it sounds close. One rules the Upside Down, the other stalks Derry for centuries. Both twist reality, both break minds, both seem impossible to kill. But once you look at what each villain is at their core, the matchup falls apart. Vecna is a human mind amplified by a dimension built on psychic energy. Pennywise is a projection of a cosmic creature that feeds on fear. They pull power from two different systems, and one of those systems gives far more control, reach, and consistency. When you lay out how each force works, you realize the fight isn't even close. Vecna's power comes from a field that connects thought, memory, and physical space. He can reshape the Upside Down, invade minds, and override a person's sense of reality with direct precision. His strength scales with focus, not hunger. He draws from the same network that lets 11 open gates shift matter and reach across entire worlds. Pennywise operates through one rule: fear. He can twist form and perception, but only when the victim accepts the illusion. His power increases when minds break. It drops when people resist. His strength is tied to belief, emotion, and a feeding cycle that forces him to sleep for decades. Vecna doesn't sleep. His power doesn't drain. He doesn't rely on belief to act. In this video, we're breaking down exactly why this matchup is one-sided, from how each villain's world works, to the limits baked into both systems, and why Vecna's direct control of a psychic dimension puts him far above an entity that needs human fear to function. Once you see the full picture, the outcome becomes clear. Vecna is a builder, an architect of psychic structure. Pennywise is a predator bound to a feeding loop. Vecna reshapes worlds. Pennywise manipulates perception. One operates on a system scale, the other works on a psychological scale. This isn't a rivalry, it's a mismatch, and the gap is wide. Vecna and Pennywise come from different types of worlds, and those worlds decide how strong each one can be. Pennywise is a predator that fell to Earth from a cosmic void called the Macroverse. It behaves like an apex parasite. It eats fear, hibernates for long cycles, and returns when the town is weak. Nothing in its story suggests it wants wide control. It sticks to Derry because that is the only place where its feeding pattern works. Its influence stays local and never pushes past the town's borders. Vecna comes from a world that expands by force. The Upside Down is not a feeding ground. It is a hive that wants to overwrite reality. The creatures inside it do not act as isolated monsters. They act as extensions of a single will. When Henry Creel fell into the dimension and turned into Vecna, he gained control over its network. He did not become a parasite. He became the mind of an invasive ecosystem. Pennywise uses fear to weaken a single target. Vecna uses fear, trauma, and psychic contact to break entire groups. The scale of each world sets the ceiling. Pennywise is a hunter stuck in one location. Vecna is a general controlling a full dimension. These origins matter because they explain why Vecna's reach keeps growing while Pennywise stays locked to a small cycle. One creature waits for victims, the other builds an army. Pennywise's power system is simple. It reads a person's fear, takes a shape that triggers that fear, pushes the target into panic, and then strikes. The fear's the fuel. When the target stops fearing it, Pennywise loses shape and strength. Its entire system rests on the mental state of the victim. If the victim shows control, the creature weakens. That is why the Losers Club can fight it. Willpower is a direct counter. Vecna's system is not dependent on fear. He uses trauma to gain access to a mind, but he does not lose power when the target resists. He enters the mind by force. He does not shapeshift. He does not bargain. He pulls the person into his realm and takes control. Even when Max pushes back, Vecna does not lose strength. He loses because the group cuts the link, not because she stops fearing him. Pennywise scales up when the target panics. Vecna scales up with connection. The more people he touches, the bigger his reach. He grows through the psychic network that runs through the Upside Down. This network links every creature, every vine, and every gate. His power rises with the system behind him, not the emotions in front of him. This is the core difference. Pennywise's system limits it to one target at a time. Vecna's system encourages expansion across a population. The fight cannot be close when one relies on individual fear and the other runs an entire dimension with a shared mind. The quickest way to see who wins is to look at limits. Pennywise has clear, fixed limits. It cannot attack large groups at once. It cannot leave Derry for long. It cannot feed without fear. It cannot physically overpower people who have pushed past its tricks. When a target shows focus, Pennywise's form collapses. Its body breaks down because its power comes from the victim's emotional state, not its own strength. Vecna does not have emotional limits. His power does not depend on anyone's fear, courage, or mindset. He enters minds even when they resist. The only way to stop him is to block the link or keep him out with physical distance or psychic interference. He does not lose physical form when someone stands up to him. He does not weaken because of confidence. He stays consistent regardless of how the target feels. Pennywise also has a time limit. Every cycle it must hibernate for decades. Vecna has no cycle. He does not sleep. His power grows when he opens gates and reaches more victims. His expansion causes earthquakes, storms, and rifts across Hawkins. Pennywise has never changed the geography of Derry. Vecna reshapes Hawkins from miles away. These limits show that Pennywise is a threat only when the victim is isolated and vulnerable. Vecna is a threat even when surrounded by resistance. One monster depends on weakness, the other creates it. To compare these two fairly, we need to look at what each one has actually done on screen or on the page. Pennywise's feats are direct but narrow. It can scare a child into paralysis. It can shapeshift into a target's worst fear. It can bend the rules of space inside its lair. It can overpower single victims. Outside those moments, its record is limited. Adults can resist it, groups can resist it, confidence shuts it down. The Losers Club wounds it twice and kills it once. Its biggest feat is psychological impact, not physical reach. Vecna's feats cover every layer of Hawkins. He kills Chrissy, Fred, and Patrick without touching them. He overpowers Max twice. He enters minds across long distances. He uses the Hive to open 4 gates at once, something never seen before in the Upside Down's history. He creates earthquakes strong enough to break Hawkins apart. He links dozens of victims through shared trauma. He weakens 11, who has overpowered every other creature from the Upside Down. His feats scale from individuals to entire towns. Pennywise has never altered a region's environment. Vecna alters the environment as a side effect. Pennywise cannot control a network of creatures. Vecna controls every vine, tendril, and monster connected to the Mind Flayer. Pennywise cannot collapse a building without fear breaking the victim down first. Vecna collapses structures without relying on the target's emotional state. When you stack their feats side by side, one thing becomes clear. Pennywise affects people, Vecna affects reality. Resistance exposes the gap between Vecna and Pennywise. Pennywise crumbles when its target stands firm. When the Losers Club rejects its illusions, it loses shape. When adults return with clear memories, Pennywise weakens. It cannot keep a grip on people who refuse its fear traps. Its entire system collapses when the victim's mind holds steady. It breaks down because its strength is tied to the target's panic. Vecna does not break down when pushed. Max fights him with everything she has, but she does not weaken him. She only buys time. 11 breaks his hold on Max once, but even that does not damage him. He rebuilds, recovers, and returns stronger. The group stops him in Season 4 by cutting off the connection, not by overpowering him. The only thing that slows Vecna down is structural interference, not courage or clarity. Pennywise cannot handle coordinated resistance. Vecna expects it and plans around it. Pennywise fights individuals, Vecna fights teams. Pennywise is reactive, Vecna is proactive. This difference explains why groups can defeat Pennywise, but cannot defeat Vecna without outside help. One collapses under pressure, the other thrives when the room pushes back. Pennywise is tied to Derry. Its influence is strong inside the town but fades outside. Its power comes from repeated cycles of fear in one location. Outside Derry, it cannot act. It cannot project itself across continents. Its power is geographically capped. Vecna thrives on his environment. The Upside Down is an extension of him. It reacts to his mind. Every gate he opens, every tendril he extends, expands his reach. He can manipulate the terrain, control creatures, and alter structures in Hawkins. His environment amplifies his abilities instead of limiting them. When the area changes, his power grows. This contrast is critical. Pennywise has to work within boundaries. Vecna creates the boundaries. Pennywise can scare people in a house. Vecna can shake a town, rearrange streets, and flood areas with psychic terror. The environment doesn't just help Vecna, it multiplies his scale and his options. Now we can compare them directly. Pennywise is a local predator. Its strength peaks when it isolates a single victim. Its system collapses when targets resist, or when multiple people fight together. Its feats are psychological, mostly short-term and localized. Even in Derry, adults and coordinated groups can disrupt it. Vecna is a global-scale threat. He grows stronger with every mind he touches. He can strike individuals or entire populations at once. He reshapes environments, causes disasters, and manipulates creatures. Resistance slows him, but does not weaken him directly. His system is designed to scale. He thrives on connection, not fear. The bigger the network, the more power he gains. When you stack their threat levels, the difference is obvious. Pennywise can terrorize a town with fear cycles. Vecna can destroy a town, reshape it, and pull multiple victims into his psychic realm simultaneously. One is a parasite, the other is a general running a multi-dimensional army. Fear is the cornerstone of Pennywise's power. It only exists because the victim believes it. Without fear, it cannot fight effectively. Stand up to it, reject its illusions, and its strength fades. Its system is built on psychological manipulation, not direct force. Its victories are temporary, conditional, and personal. Vecna does not need fear to dominate. Trauma opens doors, but even without it, he can impose his will. He enters minds directly, bypassing resistance. His psychic dominance is absolute as long as a connection exists. Unlike Pennywise, he does not rely on the emotional state of his target to maintain power. He can impose vision, pain, or death without cooperation. This explains the key difference. Pennywise reacts to emotion. Vecna reacts to strategy. Fear alone cannot stop Vecna, while it is the only thing that stops Pennywise. One is limited to exploiting weakness. The other exploits reality itself. Teamwork affects the two monsters differently. Pennywise is strongest when victims are alone. Coordinated groups neutralize it. The Losers Club defeats it by acting together, remembering, and staying brave. Its power collapses because it cannot handle multiple strong minds at once. One mind in panic is fuel, many minds resisting, and it fails. Vecna scales with groups. The more people he touches, the stronger he becomes. He links victims through the Upside Down's network, amplifying his reach and psychic power. Groups do not weaken him. They increase his potential unless the team actively disrupts the connection. Even then, it takes precise intervention to stop him. Resistance alone is not enough. His system is designed to turn numbers into strength, not vulnerability. This is critical. Pennywise loses against unity. Vecna thrives on it. Any matchup that pits one-on-one versus a group highlights the imbalance. Pennywise relies on fear to divide. Vecna uses psychic connection to dominate. One falls apart, the other expands. Pennywise's danger is mostly psychological. It can shapeshift, create illusions, and exploit fears. Its attacks are effective against the mind and, indirectly, the body. When victims confront it, they can survive physically if their mind holds steady. Its actual physical threat is limited to those it isolates or terrifies. Adults, groups, or focused individuals survive. Its lethality depends on the target's compliance with fear. Vecna's danger is psychic and physical. He can kill directly through the mind. He can crush victims, manipulate their body remotely, and even cause deaths without touching them. His attacks bypass fear entirely. Even the strongest-willed cannot resist unless the connection is severed. He alters environments and uses tendrils or psychic energy to harm multiple people at once. His lethality is structural, not conditional. This difference shows why the fight isn't close. Pennywise's attacks fail against resistance. Vecna's attacks fail only when external interference cuts the link. That difference ensures that even a clever, fearless opponent struggles against Vecna in ways Pennywise never could. Pennywise's durability is limited. Physical attacks, fire, and exposure weaken it. Its body is a projection. Hurting it physically often affects its ability to maintain form. Its hibernation cycle prevents it from being a continuous threat. It can recover over decades, but in the moment, it is fragile. One coordinated assault or clear-minded resistance can neutralize it quickly. Vecna's durability is systemic. He survives physical attacks, environmental hazards, and psychic pushback as long as the network and gates supporting him remain intact. Damage to one part of his realm does not destroy him. It can slow him, but only temporarily. His psychic network regenerates, his control persists across dimensions, and he can reform his domain. Unlike Pennywise, there is no natural cooldown. He operates continuously, and his resilience grows with his reach. Durability highlights another key difference. Pennywise is a localized episodic threat. Vecna is persistent and scalable. One attack stops Pennywise. Multiple attacks are needed to even slow Vecna. Surviving physical damage does not threaten his system, it thrives despite disruption. Now, let's simulate how a real fight could go. Imagine a direct confrontation. The location is a generic isolated city, neutral ground, neither Derry nor Hawkins. The sky is gray, stormy, the perfect mix of horror and psychic energy. Pennywise appears first, dropping into a quiet street. Its form shifts constantly. Clown, spider, wolf, whatever it thinks will terrify its first target. Fear spreads instantly. Nearby civilians freeze in terror. The ground seems to warp slightly under its influence. The city feels smaller. Vecna's arrival is different. He doesn't need to announce himself. Tendrils of the Upside Down extend into reality, cracking walls, bending light, and carrying his presence before he even steps into the street. His entrance reshapes the city, buildings subtly twist, streetlights flicker, air feels heavier. Unlike Pennywise, his power is systemic. He does not wait for fear to grow. The environment itself acts as his weapon. Pennywise strikes first, latching onto a lone civilian. Fear surges. The victim collapses. Pennywise's illusions expand, trying to pull attention away from Vecna, using distraction as a tactical advantage. It creates doppelgangers, illusions, and hallucinatory traps. Anyone who sees them hesitates. Its aim is psychological dominance. Vecna responds instantly, not with fear, but with psychic force. He pinches the nerve of the street itself, manipulating reality. Buildings lean, streets buckle, tendrils shoot out, tearing Pennywise's projections apart mid-air. The clown's illusions flicker and fail, unable to survive the structural intrusion. Vecna's attacks do not rely on panic. They overwrite the environment itself, making fear-based manipulation largely irrelevant. Already the difference is clear. Pennywise reacts to fear. Vecna acts on scale. The first few minutes of the fight illustrate the systemic versus reactive dynamic. Pennywise can terrorize a few individuals. Vecna terrifies the whole street while isolating and neutralizing the clown's illusions. The battle has begun, but the rules are already skewed in Vecna's favor. The fight escalates quickly. Pennywise, sensing that its fear-based tactics are failing, shifts into a massive spider-like form, tentacles flailing, jaws snapping, eyes glowing crimson. It charges forward, smashing cars, bending street lamps, and attempting to corner Vecna in a narrow avenue. Each attack is precise, meant to overwhelm, but it still relies on causing terror. The more panic, the stronger it gets. Vecna does not flinch. He extends his psychic tendrils, anchoring them into the city itself. Sidewalks, walls, utility poles. Each tendril moves like a whip, smashing into Pennywise, not to kill, but to immobilize and destabilize its form. Pennywise's shape shifts mid-strike, trying to dodge, but Vecna anticipates it with preternatural precision. His attacks are not physical in the conventional sense. They manipulate space, weight, and momentum. Vecna's psychic network anticipates every shift, every contortion, every illusion. The clown's attempts at unpredictability are rendered moot by systemic control. Vecna's attacks become surgical. He compresses psychic energy into tight, focused strikes aimed at Pennywise's core, its essence that holds all projections together. Each hit fractures the clown's form further. Shadows collapse, limbs vanish, mouths freeze mid-scream. It is a destruction not of the body, but of the underlying structure that powers Pennywise's existence. Fear no longer sustains it. Reality itself enforces limits it cannot overcome. The city around them bends to Vecna's will. Skyscrapers twist to cage the combatants, roads spiral upward as barriers, and psychic tendrils create a latticework of control, limiting movement. Every object is a potential weapon or shield, coordinated through Vecna's consciousness. The battlefield is no longer a neutral zone, it is an extension of his mind. Pennywise's attempts at influence are localized and fleeting. Vecna controls the entire arena simultaneously, nullifying the clown's power before it can manifest. Pennywise tries to escape, warping into tunnels, shadows, and dimensions beyond the immediate environment. Vecna anticipates each exit, projecting tendrils into potential escape points, sealing them before the clown can move. Each failed attempt drains energy, leaving it weaker, more unstable. Its iconic grin fades, replaced by confusion and panic. For the first time, Pennywise experiences vulnerability not as a predator, but as prey. In a final cinematic move, Vecna compresses psychic energy around Pennywise, drawing all stray projections and fragmented illusions inward. The clown's form begins to implode, collapsing in on itself under the weight of systemic control. Shadows, teeth, claws, and horror consolidate into a single point of failure. Vecna isolates it, severing its connections to fear, imagination, and psychic energy. Pennywise struggles to maintain form, but it is too late. Its own mechanics betray it. Fear without effect is meaningless. The clown disintegrates entirely, leaving behind only echoes of screams and warped air. The aftermath is absolute. Vecna stands amid a city twisted yet intact, every building, street, and object returned to a controlled order. Unlike Pennywise, who left destruction wherever it manifested fear, Vecna's manipulation was precise. He neutralized threat without unnecessary collateral damage, demonstrating mastery over both battlefield and opponent. The clown's essence, its ability to project fear, warp reality, and survive indefinitely, is neutralized completely. There is no resurrection, no lingering influence. Where Pennywise was chaos, Vecna imposed order. This hypothetical confrontation illustrates why a direct battle between Vecna and Pennywise is so one-sided. Pennywise thrives on fear, reacting to emotional cues, amplifying terror locally, and relying on perception and hallucination. Vecna thrives on control, foresight, systemic manipulation, and psychic domination. The clown's power is reactive and dependent. Vecna's is proactive and self-sustaining. On every scale, individual combat, environmental manipulation, and psychological warfare, Vecna holds the advantage. Even if Pennywise attempted indirect strategies, such as luring Vecna into a trap, creating massive fear zones, or targeting civilian populations, the systemic nature of Vecna's psychic network would detect and neutralize each threat preemptively. Fear is irrelevant when the opponent reshapes reality itself and isolates the source of that fear. The clown's power, limitless in its own dimension, is fundamentally constrained in a direct confrontation against an entity like Vecna, whose reach, control, and strategic precision surpass reactive terror by orders of magnitude. The cinematic conclusion is clear. Pennywise, the apex predator of Derry, terror of countless children, and master manipulator of fear, is outclassed entirely in a battle of scale, strategy, and raw systemic power. Vecna doesn't just win, he dominates. His control over the environment, psychic projection, and ability to manipulate multiple planes of reality simultaneously make the fight asymmetrical from the start. Pennywise's greatest strength, fear, is neutralized. Vecna's power, rooted in control, foresight, and multidimensional influence, ensures victory without reliance on chance or external factors. The final visual is striking. Vecna stands in a twisted yet stabilized cityscape, remnants of Pennywise's illusions flickering and fading around him. Buildings lean back into position, debris floats down gently, and the air clears. Vecna and Pennywise exist on completely different levels of power, strategy, and control. Pennywise thrives on fear, chaos, and reaction. He waits for vulnerabilities to appear, manipulates perception, and feeds off terror. Vecna doesn't wait. He creates the battlefield, anticipates every move, and controls every variable. Fear is ineffective against someone who dictates reality itself. The battles we imagine show more than just who is stronger physically or psychically. They illustrate the difference between reactive and systemic power. Pennywise reacts, Vecna enforces. Pennywise survives off emotion, Vecna thrives off mastery. In a straight fight, it isn't close. It's a mismatch from the very beginning. Even beyond raw power, the fight highlights a thematic difference. Pennywise represents disruption, terror, and cyclical fear. He repeats patterns, consumes, and survives through chaos. Vecna represents precision, intelligence, and control. He grows, adapts, and shapes his environment to his advantage. When you consider both mechanics and strategy, there is no scenario in which Pennywise could consistently challenge Vecna. The clown's illusions, terror, and shape-shifting simply cannot contend with multi-dimensional foresight and environmental manipulation. In the end, the takeaway is simple. Vecna versus Pennywise isn't a debate over power levels, it's a demonstration of inevitability. One thrives on reaction, the other on dominance. One depends on external forces to amplify itself, the other creates, controls, and overwhelms on every scale. In a real battle, the clown would be outclassed from the start. Every tactic, every form, every illusion, all neutralized by sheer systemic superiority. This isn't about downplaying Pennywise. He's one of the most terrifying entities in horror history. But terror alone doesn't win battles against someone like Vecna. Vecna's control, foresight, and environmental mastery make him unstoppable in a direct confrontation. The fight isn't close, and it never would be. So, if you've ever wondered who would win in a real battle between these two horror icons, the answer is clear. Vecna's combination of psychic precision, multidimensional control, and strategic foresight ensures victory. Pennywise's terror is impressive, but it's not enough. In a clash of realities, systems, and pure power, Vecna stands alone at the top. And that's why, when you line them up, the battle isn't just tilted, it's completely one-sided,